Welcome to Behind the Badge with your hosts,
Lieutenant Ryan Williams,
and Officer Cammie Vandermolen.
your source for all things Spondy Police.
On a Friday, it's Behind the Badge, our weekly visit with the Fond du Lac Police Departments, and LT is
Back.
in studio. No, not Lawrence Taylor. It's,
No.
Lieutenant Ryan Williams.
Yeah, and I think last week we talked about fireworks, so we're going to talk about something very close, fires in general. So kind of feel like I'm doing the fireman's work here. I don't know.
You are. The fire department was actually just on yesterday, and they piggybacked on your fireworks thing. So
Oh.
that was one of their main.
Did they talk about campfires?
They did not talk about campfires.
Oh, so
that is exclusive.
There it
That
is.
is
There is
exclusive to
room.
you.
And this is big to them though. So eventually, next time you come on, they'll probably talk about it.
They're just kind of following your lead, aren't they?
You a big fire guy? I like a fire.
So, interesting story about that. Not to hijack the conversation, but it's
Oh, hijack away.
So I'm not a camping guy, but this house that I've lived in back in the Green Bay area, I've been there since 2016, and there is a built-in fire pit
Those are nice.
into the ground. I'd never used it
Oh my god.
until COVID. So I'd been there almost 4 years, and a buddy of mine wants to hang out, and of course you want to do it,
Yeah.
social distance outside, all of that, stuff. But I'd never done a fire, so I have no idea if there's any rules or if I need a permit or whatever. So thankfully, the Village of Howard's fire department is not far from my house, so I drove over there.
Oh,
and,
look at that.
they've always got the doors open and they're
Sure.
doing stuff, so it made it easy. I just pulled up to one of the guys. I said, "Hey, I'm looking to have a fire. I got this thing, built into the ground in the backyard. Do I need any sort of a permit? Am I able to do that?" And he said, "Nope, as long as everything is fine, you're able to go down to the gas station, get yourself a bundle of wood, and have yourself a fire." So that was the first. So 4 years into living at that house, first time I had a fire, and I absolutely loved it. I fell in love with it. I probably had, 20 fires.
Right.
What else is there to do during COVID?
Yeah.
Invite people over, burn, and then I have slowed down, but it is still one of my favorite things to do, to just sit out there, especially evening and under
Yeah.
stars or whatever. And I got somewhat of a secluded backyard, so I feel
Sure.
like it's just me and me
Yeah.
and my thoughts.
Well, that's the king of all segues, so we'll just get right into it then,
All right.
because
You're welcome.
what we're going to essentially do is save people that trip to the fire department, and hopefully we'll give them some facts. But the simple thing to do is just that if you have questions, just go online, go to if you just Google search Fond du Lac City Ordinance for fires, you're going to find basically what I'm going to be talking about today. And I'm going to touch on stuff, and we'll come back and forth on stuff. But number one is that it has to be, if it's in the city, it has to be attended at all times. So we'll get this a lot of times. Once in a while, people will have a couple drinks around the fire. I know this is shocking news. This just in.
Right.
And people kind of forget that they lit a fire, or go lay down and stay laid down, and that's a no-no. So you have to have somebody attending that fire, and that person has to be a reasonable adult, as we'll get into a little bit later. They're also how that's contained. So pretty much if you buy a fire pit, or if you have one professionally made in your backyard, it's probably going to be good to go as far as containing the fire. If you build your own though, there are certain things that you need to kind of look at as far as what is approved and what is not. An approved fire pit is any below ground dug pit not greater than 36 inches in diameter, lined with non-combustible material, soil, metal, stone, a minimum of 6 inches deep, and ringed on the outer diameter with stone, brick, or concrete. So those are kind of their homemade ones, in-ground ones. There's actually specifications that have to be. Now, if you buy something that's made to hold the fire, then that's generally pretty good, and our statutes do kind of say that. This is the one that we get the most, because Fond du Lac, we have a lot of neighborhoods, and they'll have fenced-in backyards. So they have kind of small areas, and they'll have a fire in these. There's actually an ordinance that says no recreational fire shall be closer than 25 feet from any dwelling, building, structure, shed, or garage, or closer than 10 feet from any wooden fence, deck, or combustible material. So that is the one that probably we have the most violations on, is that, because most people don't even have 25 feet, you know, and to work with there. So if that's the case, you know, you could be having an illegal fire, and we could get called, and sometimes the fire department will get called with us as well. If you do have a fire too, you have to have some way or means to extinguish that if things would get out of control. So like a hose, a charged hose, even like a bucket of water, so you'd have time to go and get other things to put out the fire. So just be prepared. Make sure that you have some sort of a way or mechanism in case things get out of control. Because, you know, every once in a while, maybe like a log falls out of the fire, or, you know, someone's poking around and something happens you don't want it to, and then you gotta kind of worry about that. Also on here is no recreational fire shall be started or allowed to continue burning when the wind direction or the wind speed will cause the embers of other building burning material to be carried onto a building or a combustible material. So you also have to kind of figure out what the wind is going to be and where you build your fire accordingly. Like, I live a little bit outside the city, and sometimes it gets pretty windy. You know, there's a reason why they built those windmills here in Fond du Lac.
Right.
You know, it's windy a lot. What you burn is important too. Like, obviously wood generally should be pretty good, but we do have an ordinance against not burning leaves, rubbish, garbage, trash, construction materials, or any materials made or coated with rubber or plastic, leather, or petroleum-based materials. Because you're basically sending all that stuff in the air, and people have to breathe it. It's toxic fumes. I'm not sure the difference between rubbish or garbage. You know?
I don't know, but they sound similar.
As I was reading this, I'm like, I'm not sure what the difference is, but they're both listed. So we are covering rubbish and garbage. I just want everybody to know that. So that's out there. Once again, recreational fire shall be constantly attended and supervised by a competent person at least 18 years of age until the fire has been completely extinguished. This means extinguishing any fire must be kept immediately available. Ways to extinguish the fire must be kept immediately available at all times. And this is kind of like a big one. This is kind of like, all right, so you're telling me all this stuff. So what am I going to get? A fine? Possibly yes. There's a city ordinance fine, but it could be much worse. This would be the much worse option. Any party who starts or maintains a recreational fire that is allowed to burn out of control shall be held responsible for paying any costs associated with the fire control efforts to extinguish the fire. So that is where the price tag for this could get pretty lofty. If you need a reason, or you have to tell your kids, you know, hey, you know, we got to put the fire out or whatever, and for this or this reason, say, hey, I don't want to pay for this thing getting out of control. And, you know, things can get kind of like, you know, especially, you know, and it's not always the young people, but a lot of times it's the young people that don't have the best ideas. I think many people have heard about it. I think it happened in Seymour. I think it was like a prom night bonfire. Shawano, yeah, and someone decided to throw some gasoline on that and injured some people pretty severely. So we definitely want to control that situation. So there's also, this is the last thing I'm going to cover about campfires, because these are just the basics. There's more things, but we're getting the majority of them. There's actually times when you can have a fire, and there's times when you can't. So Sunday through Thursday, so pretty much during the week, you can have fires from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Now, once you get into the weekends, which is like Friday through Saturday, you can go all the way to midnight. So after midnight, you're really not allowed to have any fires.
I never even thought about that.
Yeah, so, and we'll get a lot. We'll get people,
sure.
maybe come home from the tavern or whatever, and have a bonfire, and I get it. They're probably not meaning any harm to anybody, but technically it'd be a violation of a municipal code. Now, there are exceptions on certain holidays. So if there's a holiday, then and it ends up being one of those during the week things, so maybe like Memorial Day weekend or whatever, you could probably, it goes till midnight on that Sunday so that you can carry over to that Memorial Day weekend. So there's exceptions on the holidays. So just something that kind of we come across every year, especially during this time. I like a good fire. The question is, like, what about the gas fireplaces? Those could be a little bit different because those are more contained and they're made to be contained. Just use good common sense. And most people aren't going to bother you unless you're making a ruckus or letting it go out of control or not attending the fire. That's when it get called to us. Generally, we're not going around on fire patrol. As officers, we have other stuff that we're concentrating our efforts on. But if we get called to it, then we're gonna have to deal with it accordingly. Which it could be a warning, get the fire out, or it could be a citation or whatever. And sometimes the fire department will get called with that. So, do you have a favorite fire food?
Fire food?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, back in the day, it was always hot dogs.
Hot dog? Just a hot dog on the fire?
Yeah, that was about it. What about you?
Oh, so everyone's big into the pudgy pies, right? Like, have you had a pudgy pie?
Never had much.
Oh my lord.
I've heard of it.
I'm coming over for a fire.
All right.
We're gonna get this thing squared away here. So pudgy pie is basically, they make these pudgy pie makers. They're like steel squares, and you put a piece of bread in on each side, and then you just put whatever you want. Most people do like a pizza one, where they put like pizza toppings and meatballs in there and pepperoni. Those are quite delicious. Some people just do like a simple ham and cheese, and then you can do like dessert ones. They're great, but I used to camp a lot, and I perfected the pudgy pie when I had made the Crunchwrap Supreme pudgy pie.
No way.
Yes. Oh my God, it is amazing. Yeah. So those listening out there, you can thank me later. So you just use normal tortillas and you put all your taco stuff in there. I like to add a little crunch to make it Crunchwrap Supreme. So maybe some Doritos in there as well. You can add the sour cream later, but I like the sour cream in there right away.
Okay.
And you put it in the pudgy pie maker, and you just pretty much brown both sides. Amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Amazing.
Sounds so good.
So, and I really pride myself on the slow cook because I don't like burnt. Like, I don't like burnt in the pudgy pie. So I'll find some just a moderate heat and slow cook it. I'll take the time. You're on the fire. Enjoy, right? A lot of people are in the rush to get that cook going on. No, you got to enjoy it. So, so the Crunchwrap Supreme, make it. You'll love it. Like, it's amazing. Like, if you ever just have the stuff to make tacos, that's a good time to just throw one on because you have everything already. So, that and another thing that's not too common. Everyone does the s'mores, right? And then maybe they add the Rolo with the s'mores. There's different things you can do there.
Rolo.
Yeah, people like to change it up. I like, I think they were called cinnamon bears, but you basically just take like crescent rolls and you just cook kind of the crescent roll, and when you just kind of wrap it around a stick and cook it, and then you dip it, or you can spray it with spray butter, or you can dip it in butter. Spray butter is even better, and then you just dunk that in cinnamon and sugar.
Oh boy.
It's like a donut.
It's gonna be so sweet.
So good. So good. It really works good because like some people will make like pigs in a blanket, hot dogs wrapped in that crescent roll stuff. So if you just got some leftover crescent roll stuff, you just wrap it around a stick, heat it up, a little bit of spray butter, a little bit of cinnamon and sugar. Maybe we should do a cooking show.
I think so.
I'm getting hungry.
You are getting me hungry too. Two alternatives quickly before we go regarding the s'mores. Sometimes I like to put peanut butter on the graham cracker.
Yep.
Or sometimes, rather than usually the chocolate I use is like a Hershey bar.
Yep.
I use a Reese's peanut butter cup.
Yes.
Instead of-
Yep. I've seen that. And then you got your peanut butter and chocolate all in one.
I do need that.
That's good. And there are no municipal laws I know of barring the making of s'mores or cinnamon bears or Crunchwrap Supremes. So
There you go.
I think you guys will all be pretty good in that aspect. Like, yeah, I'm a big fan of campfires. I do enjoy them. I just want everybody to be able to enjoy them, hopefully within the confines of the law. And it's kind of like fire season too. These things get out of hand. Usually alcohol's involved. We get a little bit relaxed, or we maybe throw too much fire on the fire, too much things that burn on the fire, or try to burn creative things, and that's when things get out of hand, and then we get called. So just keep yourselves on the right side of the law, and we'll be good to go, and hopefully you can enjoy your holiday seasons.
And it's time to eat. Behind the Badge, KFIZ today.
Morning talk, city's hot. A new day, let's all start. Behind the Badge, we'll stand tall through the ups and the fall. From the light, hear the call. Behind the Badge, we're all